All right. Hello, everybody. I hope everyone's doing good and having a great Tuesday. I know I am. I had my grandkids this morning and we had a blast. One of their favorite things to do when they come to grandma's house is do paper pumpkins. But what was exciting was when they got done with their cards today from the paper pumpkin kit, they immediately said they wanted to mail them to some of their family members. So I was pretty excited that they wanted to do that. So we addressed them all and took them to the post office, and they are just happy as punch with that. So anyway, tonight we're going to be working with, let me put it up here, the Life is Beautiful stamp set. Sorry, something's going weird with my camera. Oh, it switched. Hold on one second. Oh my gosh, too funny. Sorry, while I'm fixing this, so let's see. Yeah, that's upside down. What is it doing? Oh my goodness. Hold on one second. But we're going to be working with the Life is Beautiful from the mini catalog. And I am just trying to get this thing to work right. I don't know what happened. It normally does just fine, but it somehow has switched the way that it's viewing. So if you guys will give me a second, I am going to disconnect and reconnect to my, because I think if I put it this way, yeah, it's upside down. So I don't know why it decided to do that. Isn't it there? It's always something, isn't it? Always something. I just when I think, hey Brenda, just when I think I have everything going great, my everything decides to go crazy on me. Okay, so let's see. Oh, you know what? I think it was my fault. I must have pressed, let's see. Okay, now it's doing fine. I must have pressed the, when I hooked it up to the Switcher Studio, I somehow switched made the camera look the other direction. I think actually it's when I was loading the comments for you guys. So let me go back to comments. So, okay, now we're good. So anyway, this is a distinctive stamp, and you guys know I love the distinctive stamps because they're absolutely beautiful, just stamped. So we're going to be using this set tonight, but we're also going to be using it, and this is on page 51 of the mini catalog. So, okay, so Pat's not getting any audio. Brenda, are you getting audio? I know you're on here too. So if you can let me know if you're getting audio. My microphone is going crazy. Let me try. I think that muted me. So once we get everybody set up where they can hear. So Brenda, let me know if you can hear me. I'll kind of keep going in hopes that you guys can hear me and watching the comments. But it is on page 51 of the mini catalog. Whoops, wrong page. Here we go. So Brenda, you can hear me. Okay. All right, so this is the stamp set that we're going to be using, but I am combining it with one of the suites on page 45. And so it is this Gilded Autumn suite, because I'm going to be using this designer series paper, the acorn trinkets, and the ribbon. All right. Okay, good, Pat. I'm sorry. I hope you can get the volume to work soon. All righty. So we're going to get started. And our first card is going to be our simple stamping card. I'm going to try to get into the habit of doing this for those of you that are new at stamping and want to just do things with stamp sets. So I am using thick Whisper White, and it is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I have 2 pieces of Cajun Craze. One is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And the other one is 4 by 5 1/4. And then I have Early Espresso. And this one is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then a piece of Whisper White that is 4 by 5 1/4. And then a little itty bitty piece of Whisper White that is 1/2 by 2 1/2. All right. Hey, Mel. Glad you joined us. So this is our simple stamping card to begin with. So I've got to get the right one. Okay. We're going to be stamping on the 4 by 5 1/4 to begin with. All right. And we are going to be using this Life is Beautiful stamp set. And let me just make sure I can see everything. Sorry, I thought I was going to just be up and running so quick tonight. And then the whole, yeah, let's not work with my phone tonight. All right, so what we're going to need is we're going to need our largest block. And for some reason, I don't have my blocks out. So this is actually block F. This is the one that this fits on. So I'm going to pull this, and this is a polymer stamp set. So we're going to stick that on that one. And then we're also going to be needing the little tiny snowflake. And this one can work on block B. And let me think what else we're going to need. And then we'll go to there, but we'll also need this little stamp set, this little stamp block, which is G, the long one here. And then I think we're going to need, if I remember correctly, let me find. I put my stamps in a little drawer next to me. And then I think we're going to need this one, which is block D. So if you guys don't know, the Stampin' Up! Blocks have the little letters right there on the end of them, so you know which ones that you are needing. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do Early Espresso, and I'm going to bring in just another sheet just because I don't like getting all of my sheets dirty. That way I can use them a little bit longer. And we're going to bring in some Early Espresso ink for this one. What we're going to do is we are going to ink up the stamp. And then we're going to stamp on the left side, and I am going to be stamping off of the page because I don't want the full tree on here, but I'm going to be stamping off the bottom and then off the left side. So I'm just going to lay that down, put some pressure because I don't have my silicone mat with me right now. See, and I really needed it. All right, let me get this relined up. One of the nice things about, there we go. See what's nice about those polymer stamps is I didn't get it stamped really clear up here, and I could go right back in and stamp over it. That's why I love these stamp sets, because, you know, I don't think any of us are perfect at stamping. So this time, I'm going to grab that silicone mat because it really does help with the polymer stamps to get a better image, stamped image. Okay, so we're going to stick this down, and I just kind of wanted these limbs over here to touch each other just a little bit. All right, now we're going to clean off this stamp set. I forgot to go re-wet these, so hopefully we will get through this tonight with the fact that I don't have this really, really wet. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we are going to come in with, on this stamp set, and I'll show it to you on the stamp set, but on this stamp set, it has this little stamp here that kind of looks like snowflakes. So we're going to use this one, and we are going to be bringing in the white Whisper White Craft ink. And the reason I'm doing all of this quickly is because I'm going to have to let this kind of dry a little bit. Because I did re-ink this because I wanted to make sure I didn't have to work so hard to get a good stark image. So basically what I did is I just kind of started on this outside edge here. And you know what, let me bring you guys in so you can see what I'm doing. That might have been a little too much. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oops. There, I think that's good. Okay, so we're going to ink up with the Whisper White, and then we're just going to kind of set that down. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because after all, this is kind of like snowflakes or frost. It's supposed to kind of look like frost on the tree. All right, so we're just going to come in, and I'm just going to kind of fill in where the branches are. Okay, so there's that side. Then I'm going to come in on this other side and do the same thing. Just trying to get the edges. And because, I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's a little bit of an image right there. I want to make sure I pick that up and don't just leave that out there hanging. All right, so that's what that's going to look like. Cute, huh? Yay! All right, so I got to bring in a baby wipe and clean this stamp really quick. I keep forgetting to order. I'm going to order a chamois that is just for my Whisper White because I do use it quite a bit. As you guys have seen in the past few weeks, I've used this color quite a bit. All right. I'm going to turn that over. Oh, you can see I did it there too, so maybe not. Let's just get that off and give that a little bit of time to dry here. If I move this down here, then I won't be in where it was wet. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is I kind of combine this stamp set with another stamp set, and it is this Rustic Retreat stamp set, and this is in the annual catalog. And this one is not a polymer stamp set. This is the Kling stamp set. All right, and this is the one that we're putting on block D. Gonna try to get it straight so that I stamp it straight. And then I'm gonna again ink this up with Whisper White. And I always kind of check my image to make sure that I'm getting a good white covering on there. Without, like, because if you push hard, then it starts to muddle the image. But see how you can still see the image really good? And that's what you're looking for. All right, so we're gonna come in. I think I can push this up just a little bit. And we're gonna put this little house right there in the middle. All right, so that's what it looks like. Cool, fun, yay. All right, then what we're going to do is clean this off. Clean off this stamp set, or that stamp. Okay, and now I'm going to come back in with the Life is Beautiful, and it has this little image here. So we're going to be using this image. Pat, have you gotten your audio to work? I hope you got your audio to work. I would hate for you to miss this. Okay, so we're going to come in, and I believe this is a block C. And we're still working with Whisper White. And this is just going to be kind of some snow drifts. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come in here at the bottom of the tree. And the tree's going to show through, but I'm actually okay with that. And then I'm just going to go across the bottom of, I left a little bit of edge where that house was. And I'm just going to kind of put that in like that. So that's what it looks like. All right. So it just kind of looks like it's, you know, back there sitting in the woods. All right. So I'm going to set this aside for a second and let the Whisper White ink, remember it's a pigment ink. So with pigment inks, we do have to let them dry a little bit before we mess with them too much, because they will smear if you don't let them dry. So I am just going to set this to the side while we build our card. Let's get this out of the way now. Okay, so I think we can probably do the inside. And the inside of this, I am using a stamp set from the Itty Bitty Christmas stamp set. And it is this one down here that says Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. So let's pull that out. And we're going to come in with Cherry Cobbler ink for this. Okay, so we're going to be using Cherry Cobbler. Let me push this up so you guys can see. I've been trying to get it closer so you guys can actually see the stamping process. And then this one is going to also go on the block C. If I can get it on there straight. Okay, so we're going to ink that up. All right, I'll push that to the side and then see if I can't get this centered. There we go. So then we're going to put that in there like that. Clean this stamp up. And then I think I'm going to back you guys back out just so that you guys can see everything. All right, so this one was from the Itty Bitty Christmas. And then we're also going to be using, I think we're going to do the Peace and Happiness out of that same stamp set, and this is what we're going to use block G for. And this little tiny strip that I was telling you about, this 1/2 inch by, what was it, 2.5 inches, I think. We're going to stamp the sentiment, this sentiment on this one. And this is kind of a good habit to get into, is when you're working with the craft ink, to kind of do the craft ink stamping first, and then you can do all this other stamping. Oh, that wasn't quite straight. Let me try this again. I've been getting a glare lately, and I'm not sure where it's coming from, so it's made it hard for me to see through my block. So I've got to figure out where that glare is coming through, because it's kind of making it difficult to get things straight. All right, so I'm going to put that one back. And again, this is from the Itty Bitty Christmas, and this is actually in the annual catalog as well. So both of the two that I'm using along with this one, the Rustic Retreat and the Itty Bitty Christmas, both of these are found here. I can pull, oh, I didn't put them on there. Both of these are found in the annual catalog. All right. Okay. All right, so now let's kind of start putting this together a little bit. So we're going to bring in our card base, and we're going to be working on the inside of the card first. Oops, let me shut this, you know me with not shutting my, oh my gosh, I don't know how some of these stampers get through this without making such a mess of themselves. I always make such a mess. I get it on my hands, I get it on everything. All right, so we're gonna come in with our Stampin' Seal, and we're going to go ahead and let me get that started. Just put some adhesive here. All right, and then this is going to be our first one that goes on the inside of our card. Like I said, I've been a little off kilter lately. I've had such a hard time getting things straight. I don't know what's going on. All right, and then this is the inside of the card that we stamped with the Merry Christmas. So Pat, did you ever get your volume to work? I hope you did. All right, and then on the front, we're going to take that Early Espresso because that's the same color as we used on those trees. And we're just going to adhere this, as this is going to be our mat for the front. Alrighty, and then we're going to come in with this, and I still see a few places that are a little bit wet, and because of that, I'm going to bring this back in for when I turn this over. I'm just trying to make sure this is all dry, just because I don't want to get some of that white ink on this, and then the next card that I do, I pick up that white ink. You do have to be a little bit more cautious or aware. Hey, Jean, I'm so glad you joined us tonight. This is my simple stamping card, so this is all stamping. Not using any of the tools that all the fun tools that we have. And then I'm going to bring this in with some Stampin' Dimensionals. And we're just going to put, which side is, this is my straight side, okay. Since I had to stamp it on both sides, now I have to figure out which one is my straight side. All right, so I'm just going to put a couple of dimensionals, pull that off, and then we're going to, let's put it right side up. Let's not put it upside down. And we're just going to kind of center this over the little house. Let's see if I can get that straight. All right, so that's our simple stamping card. It says peace and happiness, and this is all just stamping, no other tools. And then on the inside, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And so I'm just going to bring in the stamp sets one more time just so you guys remember which ones I used. This is new. It's in the mini catalog. And then these two are from the annual catalog. So it's the Itty Bitty Christmas Greetings. I got the little house from the Rustic Retreat. And then the Life is Beautiful. All right, so card 1. Do you guys like it? You know, sometimes when we're used to using all of the tools and the tricks, sometimes it takes us a little bit to get happy with just simple stamping. Okay, so we're back with this. We're going to go again with this set. Let me just put some of these back in here that we're not going to be using. All right, so our next one that we're doing is going to be, we're going to do embossing on this one. But I'm using the Very Vanilla, again, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Oh, Brenda, I'm so glad you liked it. And then I'm using the, let me pull it up. These are the things that I am using from that Gilded Autumn suite. And this is the designer series paper from that I'm using. So it doesn't this, because I'm using a stamp set that's just the stamp set. It doesn't go with a suite. It doesn't go with a bundle. So I'm kind of adding in things from other suites and bundles. But look at this paper. Isn't it pretty? It's all shiny and shimmery. And then this is the other side. Yay! And this is at 4 by 5 1/4. And then you're going to need a Very Vanilla piece that is 3.5 by 4 3/4. And then this little tiny guy that is 2.5 by 3. So we're going to be doing some heat embossing on this one. And I'm doing this. This was the first time I've ever done this. So what I did is I am actually, and I know we don't sell these anymore, which I'm really sad. So if you have the embossing buddy, always make sure you put that down first before you stamp your Versamark. So we're going to be using Versamark ink. But what I was starting to tell you guys is I have never embossed and then stamped again and embossed again. And that's what we're doing. It's kind of a two-step embossing tonight. So what I'm going to do is I am going to ink up our Life is Beautiful tree with the Versamark. Now, obviously, the tree is wider than this piece of paper, which I am aware of. And that's okay, but I'm going to make sure that the trunk is as far down as I can get it, and then I'm just going to lay that down. Oh, I should have had my oh, Flora, I'm so glad you're here. Ooh, I rocked that, so I hope that didn't mess it up. Okay, so I got that embossed, and then I'm quickly going to come in with these leaves. And so on the front of it's this one right here that we're using. Okay, and again, this is a two-step embossing. And you'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. This is where it gets kind of hard because I'm trying to see where I just stamped that tree. And now I'm going to try to get these leaves on there to where it's covering the branches. I think I got it pretty good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to come in with my copper embossing powder. And let's hope I didn't take too long doing this. Sometimes, especially when I have my air going down here, if I have any of my fans going, it tends to dry this out. So I'm just going to flick it. And as you can see, I don't think it covered the tree trunk. Now, let me explain why it did this. This is a distinctive stamp, and because it already has the rises and the lowers, I mean, you know how it has like the shading already in it. That's why it did that on the tree. So if you wanted the tree to be a little darker, you could go back over. It's not going to cover it completely because it's a distinctive stamp, but you could put a little bit more, and see how I managed to get a little bit more embossing powder on that. Alrighty. Let me move this completely out of the way so that I don't blow this stuff all over. So it's going to get loud because I'm bringing in my heat tool. And remember, I've always told you guys to let your heat tool heat up just a bit. All right, so now I'm going to bring it closer because you should be able to see it start to change colors and get dark and start doing that copper. You know what? I just realized probably be helpful if I had my lights on. Oh my gosh. Just when I think I'm ready. Okay. So now I don't know if you guys can see, but it changes. It goes from that brown color to a really shiny copper. So we're just going to come in here. And the other thing I want to point out is that when you're using a distinctive stamp for this, you're also going to not get as smooth of a finish as we do, and I'll bring it closer so that you can see. But see how you don't get as smooth of a finish with the, it's kind of bumpy, which I'm okay with. I kind of liked that look. Okay, so here's where the two-step comes in. So now, oh, you know what? Let me clean this stamp off really quick. Just so that Versamark doesn't, I'm just cleaning off that tree one. Sorry. All right. Okay. So now I'm going to come back in with this stamp set, and I'm going to come back in with the Versamark. And I'm actually going to be stamping over what I just embossed. And so I'm going to put a little bit here. And I'm going to re-ink that up. And I'm going to come off the page over here. And I'm pushing down really firmly because it's going to be hard for it, with it already having dimension on it, it's going to be hard for it to pick up, to get down in those crevices. Okay, so now I am coming in with gold embossing powder. And we're just going to cover the top of this because that's where I know that I just put that on there. And like I said, this isn't going to be exact, but I want to bring this closer so you can kind of see where the gold is. Of course, I haven't heated it up yet, but let me move this out of the way so that when I bring in that heat gun, I don't blow this all over my workspace. So let me heat that. I should have just left the heat gun going, huh? So now we're going to bring that in. All right, and we're going to come in and we're just going to heat that up. And I don't know if you guys can see it turning gold. All right, so I hope you guys can see this. I don't know if you can. Can you see the different colors? Can you see the gold and the copper on there? I hope you can. Because anyway, so I was able to get two different colors of embossing onto that. And the reason I wanted to do that was because of this designer series paper. It has the gold and the copper. And so I wanted to match that. And that's why I did that. Okay, so while we've got my embossing stuff out, I'm going to go ahead and bring this in because we are going to be stamping, and we're going to use the Thinking of You sentiment. Isn't that cool? I've never maybe some of you guys have done that, but I've never double embossed before. Especially with a distinctive stamp. So I was a little nervous on how that was going to turn out. All right, I'm going to stick this under here this time. All right, before I do this, I need to, I'm going to be using my copper again. But I poured most of it in this little thing. So now I'm just gonna real quick pour some of this back. So I have some. Don't need it all, I just need some. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna come in with my Versamark and ink that up really good. Try to get it centered. And I do try to put quite a bit of pressure down when I'm putting these on, just so that I make sure I get that Versamark on there nice and good. Because if you stamp it a little bit too light and you don't put enough pressure down, sometimes you miss areas. And I forgot to do my embossing buddy, so let's hope that it doesn't go everywhere. And always remember, look at it and make sure it's covered the way you like it. If you want it darker, just pour more embossing powder on it, okay? And that's what's going to help you, and don't maybe flick it as much as I'm flicking it. And then, because I didn't use my embossing buddy, I'm getting these little dots. Okay, so let me put the lid back on this. I'm going to kind of keep this fairly close because we're going to be doing this again on the inside of the card. So sorry, here we go with the heat tool again. If it wasn't so loud, I would just keep it running so it would be nice and heated up. So we're going to go ahead and just, and again, this does get hot. So sometimes it's good to hold it with something else besides your fingers. Okay, so there's the thinking of you. And then before I get rid of my embossing powder, I am going to come in. I'm going to line my silicone mat up so that it's straight. And I'm going to come in, and I think this is the one where I use the sentiment from here. So this one I paired up with Here's a Card sentiment because I wanted to do a sympathy card. And this one says Words Can't Express, so that's what I'm going to be using on the inside. We're going to stick that down there. This is the one that I should be using my Stamparatus right now, because this is the one I have a really hard time seeing if I get it straight, because it's clear. So that always makes it a little bit challenging. Okay, so I think I have it straight at the bottom. So let me go in here and let's hope that's straight. All right. Again, I always want to remind you guys, you know, we have all these tools, and sometimes we forget to use our embossing powder just because, you know, I know sometimes it's, you know, maybe not as quick to get this out and do it, but the embossing, the heat embossing just makes things so pretty. And now that I'm looking at that, I don't think I did get that straight, but we're going to go with what I did. Oh, and I forgot my embossing buddy again. So one thing you guys can do, which I may do with this later, because I got it a little cockeyed, you probably could either put something over here to kind of balance out where it's different, or come in with a, like, do it on a piece of paper like this, and then just, you know, make a little design and cover it. So that is a way that you can fix that. But I've been worried about my getting things straight. Like I said, I don't know if it's my bifocals are going off. Hey, Susie. I'm not sure what's going on, but I've noticed that I'm having a harder time getting things straight. All right, let's get this one up. Whoops. Sorry, I saw a little bit of the embossing powder over to the right. So again, you're just gonna heat it up until it becomes shiny. So there you go. Nice and shiny. All right. So now I believe we are ready to put this card together. Almost. We've got one thing we've got to do at the very end, but let's go ahead and put the pieces that we've got together. All right. So we're going to come in with this beautiful Designer Series paper, and this is that autumn, gold autumn, or I'm sorry, gilded autumn Designer Series paper. Because I'm using a stamp set that was just a stamp set, it didn't come with die cuts, it didn't come with paper, it wasn't part of a suite. I'm just trying to show you guys how you can mix and match. You know, sometimes, again, we buy Designer Series paper and we think we can only use it with the stamp set that we bought it with. And that is not the case here. All right, so we're going to lay that down like so. Then we are going to bring in, I love that this is ribbon that has been around for a while, but I love it because it's a metallic edged. And this one, so the Very Vanilla has the gold, and then the Whisper White has the silver metallic edge. And I love this ribbon. It's so handy to use for so many different things. Oh, that's not the right scissors. Those are my very old scissors. All right. Okay, so then I'm just going to turn this over and run a strip. And then we are going to just wrap that around. Now I want to show you guys something because I'm going to be using dimensionals on this piece, and so I don't want, like where my adhesive went past the ribbon, I don't want that to be there. So I'm going to come in with some baby powder and a Q-tip, and I'm just going to apply that baby powder because I don't want that to be sticky, because when I put the dimensionals on, if I accidentally push down too hard in this area, what would happen is then this would stick to the card, and I didn't want that to happen. So you can put baby powder on there, and it takes away the sticky. Yay! Okay, so now let's come in with some dimensionals. And for this one, I'm going to use a few more than I normally would, because I don't know if you can see, it's kind of, when you heat this paper up, it can tend to curl up on you a little bit. And so I'm going to want this to lay down flat. So because of that, I'm using a lot more dimensionals. That way it'll make it lay down flatter. Because you guys know I never use this many dimensionals. But for this one, I'm going to. All right, so let me just pull these off. Sorry, I know this is like, it's like do, 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 do. Someone play the Jeopardy music while you're watching me pull all of these off. Alrighty. Then we're gonna take that and hopefully where it's not gonna stick to me. And then I'm just going to try to center this onto this Designer Series paper. And since I've been so bad at centering, we'll see how well I do. But see how when you use that many dimensionals, it straightens out that paper for you so that it doesn't, yeah, it's not, it doesn't have the warp in it. Okay. So now really quick, I'm going to bring in the new die cut machine. Yay! For those of you that didn't get to see me use this the other day, here it is. Dun, da, da. And of course it's so pretty, stamping up on this side. Stampin' Up on the other side. And we're just gonna open that up. This is so much easier for me, guys. The other one, it was harder for me to lift and bring in. Okay, and the other thing that's fun about this, especially if you're new to die cutting, it gives you the directions. So I'm doing die cutting. So it says I need to use plate 1, then plate 2, and then it continues the instructions on plate 2. Then I need to lay plate 3 down. Then I need to lay my paper down. And then I'm bringing in the stitched shapes framelets, or I think they're called stitch shape dies, and I'm using the second to the smallest circle. And this is not a magnetic plate, so I will be using washi tape to tape that in place. Okay, so it said use plate 3, put your paper and your die down, and then again bring in your next plate. Now my suggestion is when you're using this, to line up all your numbers up here in this right hand corner. That way you know that you've got everything on here the way it's supposed to work. And this thing is so smooth, guys. And now we're just gonna roll her through. It is so smooth, and I just love it. Love it. Not that I don't love my big shots. They've done good for me over the years, and I'll still be keeping them for my classes. But I am in love with this die cutting machine. All right, let me just fold that up. Move it out of the way. Stick this back in here. All right, let's bring this back in. And then I'm just gonna take some of the smaller edges here from the Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm pretty sure almost all of you that follow me, I've taught you to use every single piece of your Stampin' Dimensional sheet. Don't just use these middle ones and then throw away this outside. We have to be frugal, right? And then I'm just going to pull those off. Alrighty. And then this is just going to go right here. We're just going to, remember I used dimensionals. I try not to put the dimensionals where it's going to touch the ribbon. All right. So what do you guys think? This one says thinking of you, and then words can't express the deep sorrow felt on your behalf. So isn't that a pretty sympathy card? But look at how pretty, this could be a wedding card just as easily. You could put a wedding sentiment on here and in the middle, and wouldn't this be beautiful for a wedding card as well? It's just when that heat embossing just makes it look so classy. All right, so again, I'm just gonna bring in, so I used the heat embossing tools and then the Life is Beautiful, and I combined it this time with the Here's a Card. And this one again is in this is the annual catalog, this is the mini catalog. All right. So, oh, and let me put this up. There's the Stampin' Cut emboss machine. You guys will be able to order this as of September 1st. But there's the number if you guys decide you want to order it. I definitely say order it because it's so smooth. If you guys ever get to come back to a card class here, you're going to get to play with it and see how smooth it goes through. I just love it. All right. And then again, we are using the main stamp set today is the Life is Beautiful, and it is out of the mini catalog. It is on page 51, and there's that item number. All right. We are on to our last card. I've got 10 minutes. I don't know if I can get this one done in 10 minutes, but we will try. Challenge accepted. Okay, so this time I'm coming in with Mint Macaroon as my card base, 5.5, 8 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then we have a very vanilla that is 4 by 5 1/4. And then we have 2 Cajun Craze. One is 4 by 5 1/4. And the other one is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So you know already this is going to be a matte. And then I have a pretty big piece of, this was just kind of a scrap, but I think it was like 4 1/2 by 5 1/2 of Very Vanilla. And then we're going to need a 3/4 by 5 1/2 piece of Very Vanilla. And then again, this is that Designer Series paper. And I'm gonna use the not shiny side, but I just want to show you all the fun, like metallic in that Gilded Autumn. Look at all these metallic, aren't they pretty? But we're actually going to be using this side. So there you go. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is our stamping. So we are going to come in with our big tree again, and this time I'm coming in with Crumb Cake. And the other thing I wanted to point out to you guys, let me show you guys something here really quick, if I can find my book. What did I do with it? Oh, it fell. This is kind of a fun thing that Stampin' Up! Just started doing in their catalog. So here's the Gilded Autumn Suite. So when I turn it over and when I'm working with this paper, right here in the catalog, it pretty much tells you what colors match that paper. And so that's kind of how I'm picking my colors tonight. I'm doing the Mint Macaroon, I'm using the Cajun Craze, and I am stamping with Crumb Cake. And then I'm going to add a couple other colors. But just again, if you're starting out and you're not sure how to coordinate your ink colors or your cardstock colors, that's how I do it. Okay, so I think I'm going to, I know I'm cutting a lot of this off. So let me just kind of stamp it like that. Oh, I keep forgetting to put my silicone mat underneath. Yay, I got a good image. It's like, I don't know why I keep doing that tonight. I'm usually very good at making sure that I have that silicone mat under there. Okay, so I'm just cleaning that off, and we're done with that stamp. So I can go ahead and pull this off. And again, anytime you're using polymer stamps, you know, they make them pretty sturdy, but you know, always use a little bit of care and caution pulling them off your blocks, just so you don't completely tear them apart. All right, so then I'm going to come in and I am going to use this stamp set, the leaf one that we did with the embossing, but this time I'm going to come in with Cajun Craze is going to be my first color. And let me get a little bit closer just so you guys can see how because it's a polymer stamp set, it makes it easy to line it up with the limbs. So I'm just gonna stick that there and stick one there. And then I think I'm gonna turn it upside down to get the leaves here where I want them. All right, so there's the Cajun Craze. Then I'm gonna come in with Pumpkin Pie. And again, that wasn't one of the colors that I just showed you, but it's going to give me my two-tone look that I'm looking for. Whew. It's getting a little warm in my house. This time of day, it always, I don't know why, it gets a little toasty. Okay, so this one, again, I'm not going to be real exact with this one because I'm just trying to get in some different color of leaves. So I'm just kind of following kind of that same pattern, but just trying to offset it a little bit. Okay, so let me bring it closer. So that's what it looks like when you put the two-tone colors on there. Isn't that pretty? I really like the way that looks. All right, let me clean that stamp. Okay, so then what I'm going to do, I know, here I go again with my snips, and we are going to fussy cut this out. And again, I'm not going to be real exact here. I just want to just kind of go around some of these leaves, and we're just going to cut this out. And remember what I told you, if you just kind of keep your scissors cutting and guide with your left hand, making all these little turns, it's a lot easier. That's just what I have found. And some of you might know another trick to this that makes it even easier, but that's just kind of, I just kind of move the paper with my left hand. I know it looks like I'm moving my scissors, but I'm really not. I'm moving the paper with my left hand. So that's just kind of how I do my fussy cutting. And then we're just going to come down here. Like I said, we just want to make sure we've gone kind of around all the leaves. Yeah. This is where it gets kind of tricky sometimes, because I was having a hard time getting underneath that tree. Okay, so there's my tree all cut out. That wasn't too painful, right? Not too painful. So let's do my other stamping. And for this one, I think I want to bring in my Stamparatus, just because one, it has a mat under here, which makes it better for the stamp, and because this stamp barely fits on this piece of paper. So I am going to, and then remember what I've always told you. So what I do when I'm working with my Stamparatus like this, I'm going to line this up, and I'm going to put a little arrow or a little mark in the two corners where I'm lining this up. That way I know that way if it moves, because I'm using polymer stamps, and we know that sometimes they can stick, but I'm going to go ahead and just set that down there. And then I'm going to come in with this Life is Beautiful stamp. That's good. This is another lesson on how to use the Stamparatus, right? And then what I can do is I can really get this lined up the way I want it, because it's either going to go off the top or the bottom. I guess I could have made this an inch wide, but I didn't think it looked as good. So we're going to stick with this. I think I actually want this closer this way. All right, I think that looks good. So we're going to see what I mean? How when there's no ink on it, it tends to pick up your paper. That's why I do those little marks, so I can readjust that. And then I'm going to come in with my Cajun Craze. Flinging my stamps around here. There, I'm going to back that up a little bit. And remember, always put your stamp case underneath. It helps with the inking up. Oh my gosh, I am just, see what I mean? Is like everything, I feel like I'm just kind of leaning today. Even when I inked that up, I leaned all the way up at the top and got that ink all over that. Weird feeling. I've been having that all week long. Okay. So now we're just going to push that down. And love it. Let's clean off that stamp. Sorry, I know I'm going a little over my hour. I'm trying to move fast here. Hopefully we'll get her done, because this next little part takes a little bit of time to get lined up. But I just kind of wanted to show you how I do stuff like this. So, all right. So now what we're going to do is we are going to be playing with this 4 by 5 1/4 Cajun Craze. And I'm going to be putting these strips of paper down, but I want to get them lined up correctly. So what I'm going to do is bring in, remember that quilting ruler that I told you guys everybody needs one of these? So what I'm going to do, and I believe I was 1/4 inch off this bottom edge. So I'm going to line that up. And I'm just going to very lightly draw a line. Okay. Then I also know I want 1/4 inch on each of these edges over here. So again, I'm going to line that up. Usually I'm not this precise when I do this, but because I've just been so not straight lately, that's the best word I know, I decided that I wanted to use the ruler to make sure I got this placement down good. All right, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with, I think I want my striped one over here, and so I'm just going to line, I'm going to put my adhesive on there, and I'm going to line it up. Now I am using Tombow glue this time because I want to be able to have a little bit of wiggle room, and I kind of want to do this like fairly quickly, just so that if I do need to adjust, I can. So I'm just going to make sure I put it right on that line, and I know you guys can't see the line that I've drawn, but I can. And then I'm going to just line it up like that. Then I'm going to go to my right side and I'm going to use this pattern, and I'm going to do the same thing and line that up. And then this is going to allow me to kind of play with the center pieces. So I'm just going to make sure that I go right to the pencil line that I have drawn. Oop, I got that a little bit off. All right, so that's going to go there. And then I know that, all right, oh, I was like, I'm missing a piece of paper. And then I think I'm going to, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay these other pieces kind of on here, and then I can kind of adjust them as I go so that I have the same amount, as close to the same amount of distance. But I can just kind of lay these down and play with these like this instead of having to like draw all of these lines. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So I'm going to come in with this one and I'm going to pick it up and leave those other two down there. All right, and then I'm just going to come in very carefully and try to leave that same distance, an equal distance on the left and the right side, and lay that one down. All right. And then I'm going to kind of come in with this one on this side next. And again, I'm just using, oh, I think this one is almost out. I use these things to the very end, let me tell you. Oh, hey, Patty, you're here for my last card. You'll have to go back and look at the other ones. But welcome, welcome. Okay, so then I'm going to just kind of, I'm eyeballing at this point because like I said, I drew the lines first, and then that helped me to align, place these two and then align these middle ones. And I know this other side is really shiny and pretty, and I think that's when we have the hardest time using using the opposite sides, is when they give us that beautiful metallic paper. All right. right, and then I'm going to lay that one like that. So see how that worked? All right, so I drew a 1/4 of an inch here and the 1/4 of an inch lines on the side. Then I'm just going to come in with an eraser, and I'm just going to erase between all of this so that you don't see the pencil lines, because I actually laid all of this like on top of the pencil line. But see how that can really help you get stuck when you're doing something like this. It can really help you get the alignment going. All right, so pieces. Okay, so now we are going to take this and adhere it to the front. So let's bring in our Stampin' Seal. So I hope that helped you guys. Oh, you've been outside enjoying the nice August weather. Well, I can't say it's been nice here. We got, I think, up to almost 100 degrees today. So what's the temperature there, Patty? Obviously, it's a lot nicer there. I don't do hot very good anymore. Maybe it's as the older we get, we don't do hot. Okay, so then that's going to lay like that. And then we're going to come in with our, you know what? Before I do this, I want to do the inside, because the front of this actually gets quite stacked up. So let's go ahead and do our inside of our card. And that's one thing when you guys are making your cards, think about what you're going to put on the front, because sometimes it's a little bit easier to adhere the inside first, especially if you have a lot of volume on the front. All right, so then I'm going to come in and I'm going to bring in these again. This is the inside, and I'm going to use the same 2 colors. So I'm going to come in with the Cajun Craze, and we're going to stamp this in this little corner over here. And then I'm going to come in with Pumpkin Pie, just like I did on the front. And I know I'm going kind of fast. Oh, Shanine, I'm so glad you like the colors and the layout. Yeah, this is the last card, so you guys will have to, if you didn't see the first 2, you'll have to go back. I'll bring them in right at the end, so so you can at least see what I did. Because I did a simple stamping card, and then I did a heat embossed card. All right, so there's the Pumpkin Pie. And then this one, I paired this one up with another of the, actually with the stamp set that goes with the Gilded Autumn Suite for the sentiment. So this is the stamp set that actually goes with all of the paper and the ribbon and everything that I'm using tonight. But I'm going to put My Heart is Grateful for You. So just so you guys know, this is the one that goes with that set. And we're going to come back in with Cajun Craze. Wow, I just like totally pulled my, what is going on? Oh, let's see what happened. Oh my gosh. Hot mess. The stickers on the bottom of this, I didn't take them off after I used, there's stickers that go on the bottom, and it just got stuck in where I keep my stamp pads, and I about pulled the whole thing over just now. All right, so we're gonna line this up, see if I can stamp straight tonight. Oh, that looks straight, but now that I'm looking at it, I think it might not be. Oh, yay. Okay. Woohoo! Again, I need to definitely be using the Stamparatus right now, because I'm so off kilter with my stamping. I think that happens sometimes. I think we just go through little spurts. All right, so let's just put this in here. And again, that came from the Beautiful Autumn stamp set. And this is the stamp set. And then it comes with this bundle that's in that suite comes with the punch. It's 3 punches that punch out the acorn and I can't remember which leaves. And I think these 2 leaves. So we're going to be playing with this one eventually. But I just wanted to show you how you can take a single stamp set and combine it with other paper and stuff that you have and make absolutely beautiful cards. All right. All right, so then we're going to lay that down there like that. Okay, now let's turn back to the front. And this is going to be popped up, but as you can see, this is a little bit longer than it needs to be. So I'm actually going to just trim a little bit of that off because I want it to sit on this piece of paper. All right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to bring in, this is the Basket Weave and Metallic Ribbon Combo. It has this, and then I think it has a Mint Macaroon thicker ribbon. But I'm just going to bring in this ribbon, and we are going to quickly, and I'm actually going to fold my glue dots over because this is a really thin ribbon. That's what I do. When I'm working with thinner ribbon, I just fold my glue dots in half. That's how I manage to... you know, I kind of wish that Stampin' Up! Would come out with the little, like, micro glue dots. Because there's times where I just need little tiny glue dots, and this is one of them. All right, so then we're going to just turn this. And I'm going to put another glue dot right there to hold it in place. Turn that, grab that there, and just take this down here, and we're going to do a loop down here at the bottom. When I'm doing ribbon, I don't know why I do this, but I tend to want like a straight edge there and a straight edge there, so that's why I'm doing another turn here. With this. I'm going to make sure that's laid down. Then we're going to turn it back, and then we'll end up at the top with another straight edge. All right, and then that's going to go to right there, and I'm going to just clip that. Oh, I keep using those scissors. Those are not good ribbon scissors. They're good for cutting paper, but they're not good for ribbon. All right, so let's see where this is needs to end up. Oop, it got twisted here. Always make sure that it stays kind of straight. All right, so I think that needs to go right there. Okay, so there's the ribbon. Then we're going to come in with Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm just going to look where the ribbon is, and I'm going to put, so I'll put some Stampin' Dimensionals here, one up here, down here, and on the trunk down here. So I'm just kind of looking at where I need to put my Stampin' Dimensionals, and then I'm going to trim it so I can put just a little one up here. And then I always go back because sometimes I think, oh, where was that placement? So I've got that one. So I need one down here. And then I'm going to need one on that trunk. So and we could, let's see. This is where sometimes I come in with these little itty bitty pieces and use these for that. All right, so let's get this off. We're almost done. We're almost done. Let's see. Oh, I'm 15 minutes. So this is going to be like an hour and probably 20 minutes. Ah. So I hope you guys are staying awake with me. All right. So then this is just going to lay basically right like that. And then I did come in with my, oh, sorry. Excuse my reach. Again, because I want you guys to get used to using your daubers and your ink. Oh, I think I just pulled the wrong colors out. Is this the right one? Well, it should be, and I know I just used that, so where is it? Oh, we'll just do another one. Okay. So we're going to come in with the Cajun Craze ink and just daub that up, and we're just going to, remember the chalking that I showed you guys the other day? So we're going to chalk again. I know this makes Mel's heart happy. She taught me chalking is so important. It just makes it pop a little bit better on your cards and on your scrapbook pages. Let me put that up there so I know to label that later. All right, so then we're going to come in with this, and this is actually going to go across here, and I think it fits exactly. So I'm going to put dimensionals here and then dimensionals to about right there, because this ribbon actually holds it up there. So again, that's why you always kind of want to line it up and see like where you're going to need dimensionals, because I think I'm really only going to need those 3 right there, because the tree is going to hold up that middle section. And so I'm going to turn this so that I can kind of get this lined up as straight as I can here. And then oops, oh, almost messed up. It's supposed to go all the way to the end. And I am kind of pushing that ribbon down right now just to get this lined up. There. Okay. And then that's, oh, I don't think that's straight. Nope, it sure isn't. That's why it's best not to push down too hard until you get it. Okay. I always push down kind of soft when I'm first getting my cards together. That way I can fix them. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we are going to tie a ribbon, and we are going to be combining the linen thread with our metallic, and we're going to put one of those trinkets, yay, on here. And I'm going to be doing a big bow this time. So for those of you that haven't done too many of the big bows with this, hang on. So what I do is I cut this first, and then I'm going to cut 2 strings of the linen thread. I'm just layering all sorts of stuff tonight, aren't I? I layered the embossing, and now I'm layering ribbon. Just having too much fun. And I'll show you why I'm doing the ribbon this way. All right. This metallic ribbon is a little hard to tie because it doesn't like to lay flat. It likes to twist a little bit. But it is what it is. Okay. Oh, let me get my little, I got to get my trinket ready to go. So in this suite are these really fun trinkets, acorn trinkets. We're going to put one on this card. All right. Darn it. You know what? I'm just going to relax, and I'm not going to worry about how late this is going. That way I'll do it correctly and I won't mess it up. Okay. So we are going to pull this up a little bit. Now remember, when we're doing the big bow, we're going around this edge, unlike the other one where we go around this one to make the small bow. Now we've got to go around this one to make the big bow. And so I've got to kind of keep pulling this up a little bit to make sure that I've just got enough to go around and tie my knots in the center. So this is where it gets when you're working with 3 different pieces. Okay, so at this point, what you're going to do before you tie that knot is you are going to take this acorn and you are going to thread it onto one of those pieces of the linen thread. So here we go, we're pulling it through. All right, so we've got it pulled through, and now we can tie the bow. So I'm going to pull this through and tie that. All right, and that's what's going to tie that little trinket on there. Do I have instructions for the bow maker? You mean how to use the bow maker or how to make the bow maker? I thought I gave you one, Brenda. So, question, Patty, did you ever get yours made? I know I sent you the instructions. So then what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to place this first. And then I'll play with it later to get it the way I want the ribbon and stuff to look. But here's the trick with this. Because this little trinket is heavy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place that like right here, and then I'll play with my bows in a second. But I'm going to use a glue dot. And then on either side of my glue dot, I am going to come in with my Tombow glue, because this is going to need some extra strength to hold this in place. And I'm going to put, let me show you, this is one time that I actually put quite a bit on either side of that glue dot. And so I want to get my back pieces pulled down so that they're hanging down the way that I want them. And then I'll work with getting the bows to curl the way I want them to curl. So basically what happens is the glue dot is going to hold that in place, and then the Tombow glue is what's going to give it its strength. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted like one of one of the linen threads kind of in front. And I'm just going to kind of form my bow. See what I'm doing? I'm just kind of pushing everything in. And then I want one of these linen thread bows to be in the back. I mean, this is all, you guys can figure out how you want yours to look. But then again, I have to kind of keep pressing to make sure that Tombow glue is holding. And then I would trim this the way that I want. But see how pretty that looks on there when you add the linen thread with it, and then you've got the little acorn that hangs. And then the last thing that I did with this card, everybody's favorite, is I brought in some Wink of Stella, and I just kind of felt like it needed the Wink of Stella on these leaves because of that metallic copper ribbon that I've put there. So I'm just going to quickly put this over and color that in, and just barely touch it with my Wink of Stella. And you got to be careful. I just kind of drug some of the color. The Wink of Stella will make it bleed a little bit, so be aware of that when you're doing this. And of course I'm trying to go fast. Normally I wouldn't quite be moving as fast as I am, and I'd be a little more cautious of that Wink of Stella bleeding. All right, So let me just bring that up so you can see the Wink. Can you see the Wink of Stella? Let's see. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so let me bring in all 3 cards again. And again, the main card, I added a bunch of other cards, but the main one that I wanted to show you was Life is Beautiful. And then this was, for those of you that missed it, this was the simple stamping card. And I did bring in, like I said, different stamp sets for some of the sentiments. All right, so those are the 3 cards that we did with this Life is Beautiful. So see how you guys can take a simple, just a simple stamp set. One simple stamp set, add some paper, add some dimension, add some heat embossing, and the cards come out beautiful, right? All right, so real quick, for those of you that still need to place orders this month, there is the hostess code. If your order is going to be under 150, please use the hostess code. Also, if you're in my group, please use the hostess code. But if you're not part of the group and you're placing an order over $150, please get your own hostess rewards. And so don't put in the hostess code. But you can order through me through juliebrown.stampinup.net. My email, if you ever need to get a hold of me, is juliescreativestampin@gmail.com. And then please don't forget to check out my Pinterest page and my blog, where I actually later will have everything that I do on my videos. Just so you guys know, every card that I do on my videos, I end up putting on my blog with step-by-step instructions. So I don't always get it. Sometimes it's weeks later. But if you guys continue to check out my blog, then you will get the step-by-step instructions for all of the cards that I do on my videos. So anyway, I know I went a little over tonight. I hope it was worth it, and I appreciate all of you guys coming in and sitting in with me and watching as I do these cards. And if you guys have any questions, again, just email me at juliescreativestampin@gmail.com. So I'm going to put my information up one more time. So that stampinjuliebrown.blogspot.com is where you can go to get step-by-step instructions for all of the cards that I do. Anyway, thank you guys for being here tonight. I appreciate everybody's time, and everybody have a good night, and I will see you Saturday at 7 p.m. Oh, and those of you coming to the bingo, I'll see you at 10.